Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Huddle Up Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and tonight I am riding solo. Yes, John is feeling a little under the weather tonight, so he will be back next Tuesday for the Tuesday episode. Again, he's not here tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather, so I'm riding solo, and it's all good. You know, we're here to talk some football. We're here to have some fun, and yeah, I mean, football is crazy right now. It is. It's been a crazy season. Has it not? It's been a crazy, crazy season. And it seems like even now during the offseason, football is worth talking about. But this season, when you look at everything that's happening, how can you go a day without talking football, right? Am I right? If I'm wrong, tell me. I mean, I know there's some people that do go days without talking football. It happens. But this is a season to where every day there's football talk. If you are a hardcore football fan, you're talking football every day, especially with everything that's happening this season. John over the weekend had texted me statistics for the players who are currently in the running for league MVP. Drake May, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Those are four players that are on the ballot right now for league MVP. Right? And you got to sit here and think, who truly deserves it? You know, last year, Saquon Barkley had a monster of a season. Josh Allen comes out, wins MVP. Huge uproar because finally we were going to get another position other than the quarterback position winning MVP, and it didn't happen. And I'm not just saying that because of that. You know, a lot of people that are not Eagles fans have admitted to this. That Saquon Barkley would have deserved to have that MVP. There is no question this year. And me and John are going to talk about this next Tuesday. We planned on talking about the MVP race tonight, but again, John's feeling a little under the weather, so he's taking the night off, and he'll be back next week. So we're moving the segment that we were supposed to do tonight to next week, talking about the MVP race. So we're going to go really in depth next week on Tuesday's show about the MVP race. But for now, we're going to do a little bit of a prelude to talking about it to lead us into next week. So the question is who do you guys think should win MVP? Because I think it's a pretty foregone conclusion, whatever you want to say. It's Jonathan Taylor, right? Am I wrong on that? You can't discredit Drake May for what he's doing this year, having an amazing season. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Daniel Jones in Indianapolis having a great season. But Jonathan Taylor, man. I mean, I'll say this. He may surpass, and I believe he's on course to surpass what Saquon did last year. I'm going to look up Jonathan Taylor's statistics as of right now, because I believe he is on course to surpassing what Saquon Barkley did last year. Probably not. Okay, you look at the regular season right now, 189 carries, 1,139 yards, 15 touchdowns. So yards-wise, maybe not. But the way he's playing right now is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, because at this point of the season last year, Saquon was well above 1,500 yards. So Jonathan Taylor has another big game. You know, I believe because the Colts are coming off the bye week this week. So they have a big game this week. He has another big game this week. I mean, he could set himself on course for surpassing Saquon. It's not out of the realm of possibilities because it's only week 12. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. He's got 6 games to rush for another 1,000 yards. So you take 1,000 and divide that by 6. He's got to run for 166 yards, 166.6 yards every game, averagely every game moving forward. But if he has games like he had last week, rushing for 244 yards, I'm just saying the average is 166 yards a game to meet what Saquon did last year yards-wise. But Jonathan Taylor, the road that he's had since getting drafted, since coming in the NFL, it's been rough, dealing with the injuries, the contract disputes out in Indianapolis. And then to come out this year, and you think Daniel Jones is coming in as quarterback, you're benching Richardson. What is Indianapolis doing? And then the season starts. And Indy, I mean, they've been beaten twice. But other than that, kind of unbeatable at the moment. And Cam, who's from Indiana, ask him all the time, what is it like out there right now? Because it's got to be exciting. There's got to be excitement in the air right now out there to the fact that the Colts are playing as good as they are. And he says it, yeah. We're going to look at the Colts' schedule moving forward. They got the Chiefs this week. 1 o'clock set of games. Then they got the Texans, the Jaguars, the Seahawks, the 49ers, the Jaguars again, and they close out the season against the Texans. So they've played the Jaguars already. I believe. I got to find the game. I got to find it. No, they played the Titans already. They played the Titans twice. They play the Jaguars twice coming up, December 7th and December 28th. They play the Texans twice, November 30th and January 4th. So they've already played the Titans twice. Yes. September 21st and October 26th is when the Colts played the Titans, and they're 2-0 in their division. So there's no statistic of what Jonathan Taylor did against the Jaguars or the Texans yet because he hasn't played against them. I was going to do a statistical comparison of what he may run for if he's played these teams already, but he hasn't. But it's not like this is the easiest schedule moving forward. I mean, the Chiefs, who right now are fighting for their playoff lives. Remember what I said at the beginning of the season, everybody. Remember what I said. I don't feel like the Chiefs are making the playoffs this year. Said it. During the offseason. Said it. My prediction of them was 9-8, just missing the playoffs. And they're in what, 9th place right now? Not to toot my own horn. I feel like the only way the Chiefs can make the playoffs at this moment is go out, hope for Denver to completely crush themselves, and Kansas City go on a run and win the division. That's the only way I see Kansas City making the playoffs. That's it. Other than that, they don't have the head-to-head against Jacksonville, who, if we look at Jacksonville and we look at their schedule at the moment, okay, the Jaguars got the Cardinals coming up at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Win. Could be a win. They got the Titans. Win. So that's 2 wins. The Colts, that's probably a loss. So 2-1. Jets, 3-1. They got the Broncos, 3-2. The Colts, 3-3. Titans, 4-3. So if Jacksonville goes 4-3, that's a 10-7 record. 10-7. The Chiefs are 5-5 right now. You look at the Chiefs, they got the Colts. It's probably going to be a loss. Dallas, it's probably a win, 1-1. Houston, the way Houston's playing right now, I would take Houston over Kansas City. That's 1-2. So loss to the Colts, loss to the Chiefs, or loss to the Texans, loss to the Colts, win against the Cowboys. The Chargers is a toss-up because the Chargers right now, they got to rely on going through the air. Their run game is kind of iffy right now. It's going to be a toss-up. I'll give the Chiefs a win right there. That's 2-2. Titans, 3-2. Broncos, 3-3. Raiders, 4-3. So if the Chiefs go 4-3, that's 9-8. The exact record that I said they would finish with. And just miss the playoffs. Because if they finish with the same record as the Jaguars, and that is the final two teams for that 7 seed, say the Texans are knocked out and out of the picture, Jaguars win because of the head-to-head. Now let's look at the Texans. The Texans play the Bills. The Bills have been a little touchy as of late. It's been rough out in Buffalo past couple weeks, but I think the Bills are going to start picking things up. I'll give the Bills a win on Thursday. Then they play the Colts. If it's Davis Mills against the Colts, it's a loss, but C.J. Stroud is coming back this week. It was announced C.J. Stroud is making his return. Now, against the Colts in 2 weeks, you don't know because anything can happen, okay? So let's just say C.J. Stroud is playing, even if it's against the Colts. I'm going to say the Colts win. If it ends up being, if something were to happen where C.J. would end up back on IL, and it's Davis Mills, the Colts are definitely winning this game. So let's say they lose to the Bills, lose to the Colts. That's 0-2. Then they get the Chiefs, and I said the Texans would probably beat the Chiefs, right? Okay, so that's 1-2. They got the Cardinals 2-2, Raiders 3-2, Chargers. Houston's has a pretty decent run defense. It's their pass defense that's a little rough. I'm going to give the Texans the win over the Chargers 4-2, Colts 4-3. So all three teams 4-3, right? The Texans are 5-5. If they go 4-3, that's 9-8. Jaguars make the playoffs. Something completely unexpected. Because I think in my prediction, I had the Jaguars going 4-13. Or 5-12. One of the two. But to get back on track, Jonathan Taylor, when you look at it, he could be on pace to tying Saquon from last year. Or possibly surpassing him, depending on how he does against these defenses the next couple weeks. Now, do I have a lot of time to sit here and look up the rankings of each defense that they play against? The Chiefs, the Jaguars, the Texans, the Seahawks, and the 49ers? No, we're not going to spend all that time because me and John will have that statistic for you guys come next week when we run down the MVP race. But I think Jonathan Taylor, looking at it, may do it. He might. Therefore, if he ends up tying Saquon in statistics from last year, then they better, whoever votes for MVP, whoever's on that committee of 50 people, because there are 50 people on the voting committee for league MVP, they better vote for Jonathan Taylor. My dog just jumped on me. She just completely just jumped up at me. Now, she knows that when I'm doing a show, I'm doing a show. So she's very much like, Dad, come on, let me sit with you. Let me be your co-host tonight. You want to be my co-host tonight? She's a good girl. Her sister's sleeping right now. So, but guys, I'm going to stop rambling about this stuff and we're going to move forward tonight. We're going to run down the top 25 in college football. Okay. We are going to run down the Week 13 schedule of the top 25 in college football. The new top 25 updates at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. So we are going to run down the top 25 as it currently sits. Okay? We're also going to run down and talk about conference leaders in college football. You know, who's leading the Pac-12, the SEC, the Pac-10, the Mountain West Conference, the Conference USA. We're going to talk about all that. We're also going to run down the news coming out of college football. We're going to run down the news coming out of the NFL. We're going to talk about the records and milestones. First thing we're going to do is recap Week 11 in the NFL. Before we get into that, though, please make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias after the show and hitting that follow button over on the X and TikTok and hitting subscribe over on the YouTube. It would be greatly appreciated. If you're watching on the Twitch, make sure you're hitting that follow button. All the links to all the social medias are in the bio on the Twitch channel. You can just click on whatever social media you desire to go follow us on. Hopefully it's all of them, and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. Be greatly appreciated. So let's run down Week 11 of the NFL. We're going to talk about this a little bit as we recap Week 11. Some great matchups this weekend. I'm sorry, sweetie. I got to put you down, okay? I love you. We'll hang out after. We're going to hang out after the show, okay? I'm sorry. She just jumped. Like, she never does that. Go ahead. Sit under the desk. You're fine there. Just don't go after any wires. You're fine there. Got to put a protector under there for the wires. But let's run it down, man. First things first, Commanders, Dolphins overseas. The Dolphins right now, you look at how the Dolphins are playing, and you look at how the Dolphins are set up the next couple weeks and who they match up against. The Dolphins could very much well put themselves in position for a playoff run. They are 4-7 right now. Okay, and they just went out and defeated the Commanders overseas 16-13 in overtime. They got the Saints coming up. That should be a win. 5-7 for Miami. Then they got the Jets. That's 6-7. Then they head out to Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh is a team that kind of controls their own destiny because the Ravens right now, who are on a winning streak, are slowly creeping up the rankings for the AFC North. Now, the Steelers are in control. They just won this past weekend against Cincinnati in what was a very heavy-hitting game. I will say that. I watched that game, and ooh-wee, that was a crazy, crazy heavy-hitting game. Some news coming out of that game as well that we're going to talk about concerning Jamar Chase and Jalen Ramsey. But, man, the Dolphins could pull off an unexpected. If they go out and beat Pittsburgh, then they got Cincinnati, where Cincinnati right now, I mean, by the time Miami meets Cincinnati, number one, may be out of the playoff race. But number two, Joe Burrow is expected to make his return in Week 14. That's the expectations. But is it really worth Joe Burrow coming back to close out a season that is pretty much lost? Is it worth it? And taking the chance of possibly re-injuring himself. And then Miami got Tampa Bay, and they close out with New England. Now, again, this has been a weird season. Anything can happen. And Miami, right now, is in a position to where if they go out and get the best of Pittsburgh, go out and get the best of Tampa Bay, where Tampa Bay is dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Chris Godwin being out, Bucky Irving, anything can happen. They go out and beat Tampa Bay. We get down to week 18, and they're against New England, and New England already clinches. If New England has nothing to fight for, and I'm talking home field advantage, division, they have all that stuff clinched. I mean, it may come down to home field between Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, and New England. I don't know if Buffalo's going to be in that mix because Buffalo's having it rough right now. They're finally getting back on track with things, but is it too late? That's the question. Miami might go on a playoff run here. That's the weird thing. Now, does Miami possibly make the playoffs and go on a run to get the Super Bowl 60? I think that's far-fetched to think about. But making a playoff? Maybe. Maybe.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
That's right, Coach. I'm talking about the playoffs. I'm talking about it. Because there's a possibility Miami could do it. I mean, Pittsburgh went out and beat Indianapolis the other week, and nobody thought Indianapolis was going to lose to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh dominated them. 6 turnovers. Nobody thought New Orleans was going to go out and beat Carolina last week. New Orleans went out and beat Carolina. Anything can happen. It's that weird of a year. But hats off to the Dolphins for going overseas and getting this win against this defeated Commanders team. Another team I said, not going to be the same team you seen last year. They'll be lucky if they make the playoffs because of the revolving door out in Washington. They changed so many things up out in Washington, especially that offensive line. They should have kept it the same. They should have. So, the other game that I'm going to talk about is the Steelers and the Bengals. Again, this was a hard-hitting matchup. This was a fun game to watch. It was. I mean, you thought at first the Bengals were going to go in and give Pittsburgh the competition they gave them weeks ago. But very quickly in this matchup, that got shut down. Pittsburgh took over this game. They did. Joe Flacco, he had a good showing. But I think it's getting to the point where Joe Flacco, he says, he sees Tom Brady and seeing other players go, other quarterbacks go into their 40s and still playing, and he wants to do the same thing. But the thing is Tom Brady had an offensive line that was able to protect him and take care of him. When he went to Tampa Bay, had an offensive line to take care of him and protect him. Joe Flacco really doesn't have that much of that in Cincinnati. And he has wide receivers who are highly reliable to be for him, and they're not being reliable for him. Jamar Chase, yeah, he's had a couple good games, but it's not the Jamar Chase you're used to seeing. It's not. And T. Higgins, normally we see him in the back end of the year show up. It's the middle of the year, and we're seeing T. Higgins show up, which is a good thing. Because then it's like, okay, T. Higgins is more involved now than in week 15, 16, 17, 18 when they're in a playoff race against 3 other teams and they need to win out. And T. Higgins, is the reliable guy in overtime to go and win the game for him, right? At least he's being reliable now, keeping them afloat. But you got to win. You got to be on the winning end of things. But Pittsburgh, this game was so hard hitting to the fact it impressed me. It felt like an old school football game. Go back to the early 2000s, the late 90s, where guys were just nailing each other. This was that game. This was that game. It gave that old school feeling back. Because of all the rule changes and stuff, football did change a little bit. So you don't see that big of hits. But this game was different. It felt like an old school game. So, Chiefs-Broncos, great matchup. Broncos getting the best of the Chiefs. There was a couple times where I feel like the Chiefs could have went out and won this game, and the opportunities just were not taken. Patrick Mahomes, again, I do not feel like he is the Patrick Mahomes of old. He's not. And whether you want to sit here and say, the Eagles exposed him in Super Bowl 59, or, if you're superstitious and like the haircut changed him or whatever, because he has a different haircut now. Doesn't have the same hair he's had since he came into the league. If you're superstitious, I'm superstitious. There's things I do before the Eagles games. Kiss the back of my jersey twice. I kiss my flag twice. Those are my superstitious moments. There's more to the cycle, but I'm not going to reveal all that. I'll give you guys the 2 things, the kissing of the flag and the kissing of the jersey, but that's it. That's all I'll give you. But he's not the same Patrick Mahomes of old. Not. And Travis Kelce looks slightly defeated. And he's already admitted that he wouldn't, he said it, and tell me if I'm wrong, but he has mentioned it a few times that it wouldn't be too upsetting if they didn't make the playoffs, because for the past couple of years, that's all it's been. Preseason, training camp, regular season, second season with the playoffs. You do all the stuff after winning the Super Bowl that you got to do, then we get right back into things. No time off. They get a month. Now, I think this is Travis Kelce's last season. I do. I think he's done. I think he's either done or he, because of becoming a free agent this year, lies on his options to go play somewhere different for 1 year, just to say that he took advantage of being a free agent to have a little fun with it. Because if I was him and I was a football player and I was on the last maybe 2 or 3 years of my career, and I played for the same organization for 10 or plus years, I'd be like, you know what? I know I have a legacy here, and I think my legacy would withheld, because his legacy will withhold in Kansas City no matter what. Test the market a little bit. Have some fun in free agency. Go play somewhere else for a year. Be in another city for a year. And there you go. Have some fun. That's what I would do. I would test the market in my last year, go play for a team, and have fun. But first, I would make sure my legacy is intact in the city that I spent so many years in, and I don't think he needs to worry about that. I don't. So, last game that on the docket that really, really caught my eye and impressed me, the Cowboys last night against the Raiders. I mean, they were in the driver's seat the whole night last night. The Raiders, I don't even want to sit and say that they missed opportunities, because even with opportunities in front of them, they just walked right by it. It was just like saying, you know what, Dallas, here you go. Take it. And this was the first game this year that I got to see Ashton Genty live play on TV. And I was a little underwhelmed on it. Was not impressed. And it was sad to see, because I was very hype about this kid going to Las Vegas. Now it's year one. It's his rookie year. It's not like things are going to instantly happen. And I hope that the next couple years are good for him in Las Vegas. But it's just upsetting to see. It was very upsetting. So that's week 11 recap. The pick challenge recap between me and John. Me and John had 3 differentials this week. The Panthers and the Falcons. I had the Panthers. John had the Falcons. I ended up winning that game. The Bills and Bucks. I had the Bills. John had the Bucks. I won that game as well. And the Broncos Chiefs. I had the Broncos. John had the Chiefs. I won that game as well. I gained 3 games up on a John. John was leading me by 5 games going into week 11. Now he's up by 2. My record is 106-60. His is 108-58 in college football. I'm 9-3. John is 11-1. I took, and this is the crazy part, is I took, and I have it here. Last week, I took Texas A&M, and they made the biggest comeback in school history over this weekend. Down by 30, almost 30, pretty much 30 points at halftime, and end up making a comeback and win the game. So I salvaged from being down 3 games thanks to Texas A&M. So I'm only down 2 in the college football pick, and we have 2 weeks left to pick. So week 13, week 14. So whether we decide to leak this over to the playoffs or not, it's yet to be decided. Me and John will talk about that in the next coming days leading up to, we'll probably announce it next week, whether we'll leak our pick challenge for college football into the playoffs or make it a separate thing or just not do it at all. So we'll decide. We'll make that decision. But that's the update for the pick challenge for college football, or for the pick challenge for NFL and college football. Records and milestones that were broken this week. So let's get into this. First one, Brock Bowers, tight end of the Raiders. He broke the record for most catches by a tight end in their first 2 years, in their first 2 seasons. He surpassed Sam Laporta, who had 146 catches. Brock Bowers has 147 catches. So now Brock Bowers is the first, is in first He holds the record for most catches by a tight end in their first 2 seasons. So congrats to Brock Bowers. Josh Allen, he is the second player in NFL history with at least 2 career games that include 3 passing and 3 rushing touchdowns. So Josh Allen is in the record books after that fantastic game that he had this week. Bryce Young, quarterback of the Panthers, he set a new franchise record for the Panthers in passing yards in one game. Cam Newton held the recent record of 432 passing yards. Bryce Young had 448 passing yards against the Falcons this weekend. So congrats to Bryce Young for doing that again. Bryce Young just making that progression. He's starting to kind of move up a little bit. He's starting to progress, and it's really cool to see because he's involving, and this was the thing, is involved Xavier Legette a little more this week, which was really exciting. I guarantee come fantasy, people are going to go out and pick up Xavier Legette. I've had him on my fantasy team a couple times this year, and every time I release him, he has a good week. I go pick him up and keep him on the roster. He has a bad week. So the decision on whether I want to go pick up Xavier Legette and have him on my roster again, that's kind of roaming around in my head because I do need a little help at wide receiver right now, but we'll see. Myles Garrett, defensive end of the Browns. He had 2 sacks against the Ravens this past weekend. Now that puts him on pace to break the single season record for sacks. He currently has 15 sacks this season. The record is 22.5. Okay. So he is 7.5 sacks away from tying the record and 8 sacks away from breaking it. So you think we have 7 weeks left, weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 7 weeks left. A sack a game. That's it. 1 sack per game. Well, 1.5. Let's give it 1.5 to play it safe. And Myles Garrett can become the new single season sack record holder. And I hope he gets it. I hope he does. That would be a very successful year in Myles Garrett's eyes. Not just for the Browns, just for Myles Garrett, basically, for his career. Goes out, gets the great big contract for the Browns to keep him, stays there. He's committed. He wants to help this team grow. And in that, he's going out and breaking records. Why not? Last one, Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver of the Lions. He is projected to pass CeeDee Lamb for second most receptions by a player in their first 5 seasons. CeeDee Lamb currently has 496 catches in his first 5 years in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown is at 493. So he's 3 catches away from tying, 4 catches away from breaking. So Amon-Ra St. Brown in the next couple weeks, 3 catches, and he'll tie 4. He breaks it. So it should be a pretty easy record for Amon-Ra St. Brown to break out in Detroit. So we'll have to see. But that's it for the records and the milestones. Let's get into the news of the NFL coming out of the NFL. We're going to start things off with Lane Johnson, offensive lineman of the Philadelphia Eagles. He has a Lisfranc injury. He's going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a pretty big hit to the Eagles offensive line. Lane Johnson, he got injured in last week's game. He ended up leaving, coming back, finishing the game. And then, against the Lions pretty early, he went out, and now that was it. 4 to 6 weeks, he's going to be out. So pretty much leading into the playoffs because the Eagles are going to get into the playoffs. So he'll be back for postseason. And that would be great timing because Lane Johnson is a very big, significant part of that Eagles offensive line. And, these next 4 to 6 weeks, the fill-in should do a pretty good job, but Lane Johnson is pretty significant to that offensive line. So it's going to be missed. He'll be back for the playoffs, though. Michael Penix Jr., he has a knee injury. He is possibly going to be done for the season. It is yet to be determined whether he is done for the season. It has been known that he is going to get a second opinion and to determine whether he's going to be done for the season. If he is, then Kirk Cousins goes in, takes over. And if you look at the timeline of things, this is almost like what happened last year. Kirk Cousins was struggling around week 13, week 14, and Michael Penix came in and took over. Now the roles are kind of reversed. Michael Penix, though, dealing with the injury. Now Kirk Cousins is taking over. He's going to be the starter until further notice. Now, we should have an answer on Michael Penix maybe by tomorrow on whether he's going to miss the rest of the season or if he's going to miss a significant amount of weeks. But the Falcons, the way things are looking right now, being in the midst of a playoff race, I believe they're in like 8th or 9th place for the playoff race, the way it sits right now. Let me look at it for a second because the Falcons are, they're 3-7. Never mind. They're not in that position. My mistake. Their season is pretty much, lose one more game, and it's a tough road to even get to the 7th seed. So never mind. They're 3-7. I thought they did much better than that. Wow. Josh Jacobs, running back of the Packers, he's going to be week to week. He's also dealing with a knee injury. He suffered the knee injury against the Giants on Sunday. He's not going to miss the rest of the season, but he's going to be week to week. So it is being deemed that he's going to be out this week, coming up against Minnesota, but they'll determine as the weeks go on whether he's going to play, he's going to be limited, or he's going to be full. Now, I thought he was going to be limited coming up against Minnesota because this is a pretty significant matchup. It is. I mean, you look at the standings right now in the NFC North. You got the Bears, who are 7-3, Packers 6-3-1, Lions 6-4, Vikings 4-6. They're still in that mix to even win the division right now. They're not too far back. So the Vikings could go out there and put themselves in the position to make more of a closer run to the division. The Packers, who are 6-3-1, you kind of count that tie as a win. Technically 7-3, tied for first place. The Bears, because they have the actual win, are in first place. But the Packers, this is significant, because he's your main running back. So making this a week-to-week thing, I think what the Packers should do, sit him this week. What's on the Packers schedule for next week? They got 3 division games coming up: Vikings, Lions, Bears, then the Broncos, then they got Bears, Ravens, Vikings. So these next 3 weeks are super significant, especially with the way the NFC North is running right now. Super, super significant. So they might want to treat Josh Jacobs very lightly, especially going into the playoff run here. So, but he's going to be week to week. Justin Fields, quarterback of the Jets, he was benched. He is not going to play this weekend against the Ravens. Tyrod Taylor is going to get the start. So a lot of quarterback stuff happening out in New York. The season starts and you think that they go out and sign Justin Fields and he's going to make this team a little better. And right now, with the way the Jets are playing, they can't even go out and buy a win. I mean, they're 2-8. They've won games, but it don't matter. They're pretty much 1 foot out the door when it comes to the playoff race. And I think come draft time, the Jets are going to use one of those 2 first-round picks on a quarterback. That's got to be certain that they're going to do that at this point. So, but Tyrod Taylor's getting the start this weekend. Jamar Chase, wide receiver of the Bengals, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about him. And here it is. He was suspended for 1 game for spitting on Jalen Ramsey. Now, if you watch the Steelers and Bengals game this past week, like I said, hard hitting, heavy hitting, especially between these 2 guys. So basically what happened was the NFL took the whole day yesterday. I guess they rewatched this whole game to pinpoint when everything started. And Jamar Chase ended up spitting on Jalen Ramsey. Now, Jalen Ramsey did react. He did. And there was a significant hit that happened that I thought should have been penalized, but it didn't happen. And I think Jalen Ramsey, for reacting, should face some kind of consequence, whether it's a fine, whether it's a 1-game suspension. I mean, I get it. You always hear that saying that 2 wrongs don't make a right. He's reacting to Jamar Chase spitting on him. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Now, Jamar Chase is suffering. He's going to be suspended for a game. He's also going to lose the $448,333 that he would make for playing, and then his $58,823 per game active bonus. So basically missing out on over $560,000 in pay. That's what he's missing out on, plus missing a game. Jamar Chase is taking a hit. And that's that. Jalen Ramsey walks away with absolutely not even a slap on the wrist. I think he should at least face maybe a fine or something for reacting to Jamar Chase's actions. So Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Steelers, has a small fracture in his wrist. He is still expected to play in Week 12. He is going to push to play this week because the Steelers do take on the Bears. It's a non-conference, non-division game, but it's still important because if other teams in the division have a head-to-head against the Bears and they end up losing to the Bears, playoff implications could be in motion on this. So this is very important. Aaron Rodgers knows it's important. Steelers are leading the division. They want to try and keep that lead, and he's going to try and do everything he could to be on the field for this team. So he's going to try and play even with a fractured wrist. Jake Moody, kicker, he signed with the Commanders to their practice squad, and then later on got signed off the practice squad and onto the active roster. So Jake Moody is expected to kick for the Commanders coming up this week when the Commanders take on they're on the bye week. Never mind. The Commanders are on the bye week. They're not even playing this week, but he signed off the practice squad. So it looks like Jake Moody is going to take over the kicking duties out in Washington. Jonathan Gannon, head coach of the Cardinals, he was questioned today in a press conference about his job, and he said that it is out of his control, and whatever front office decides to do at the end of the year, whether they want to fire me, whether they want to keep me, it's on them. So who knows? I mean, the way things are going for the Cardinals right now, they're sitting, I believe, at 3-7. Yeah, they're 3-7 right now. I mean, playoff hopes for them are slim. Are they going to make it? Who knows? I mean, you look at their schedule right now for the rest of the way out. They're going to be playing the Jaguars this weekend, the Buccaneers, the Rams, the Texans, the Falcons, the Bengals, the Rams. So loss. Maybe a win against the Falcons, maybe a win against the Bengals, and a loss to the Rams. That's a 2-5 schedule. That's 5-12 to end the year for the Cardinals. So, I think Jonathan Gannon. I think Jonathan Gannon doesn't get fired in Arizona. I think he's going to have one more year to try and straighten these things out. But at the same time, it is a year where they got to decide what they want to do with Kyler Murray. So there is a possibility Jonathan Gannon can also be out the door. Change your quarterback, change your head coach. Bring two new guys in that can start fresh in this organization. Who knows? Like I said, CJ Stroud, quarterback of the Texans, he is expected to play on Thursday night against the Bills. He's coming off a concussion protocol. So CJ Stroud coming back pretty much at the right time for the Texans because the Texans are staying afloat. 5-5 right now in the playoff race for that 7th seed with the Jaguars and the Chiefs. So this is big. This is huge for CJ Stroud to make his return. It is. Last bit of news in the NFL. The New York Giants this week are facing elimination from the playoffs. If the New York Giants lose and the Cowboys win, the Giants are eliminated. If the Giants lose and the Vikings win, Giants are eliminated. And last but not least, if the Giants lose and the Seahawks win or tie, the Giants are eliminated. The Giants are facing playoff elimination this week. So if they lose and the Cowboys or the Vikings or the Seahawks win, Giants are out. So Giants are facing playoff elimination this week. I was at the 46-minute mark. Okay. Sorry, I want to take my notes for clips because I think I'm going to clip that one. So, but that's it. That's it for the news from the NFL. We are going to take about a 45-second break here on the Huddle Up Podcast. We'll be right back after this. All right, so make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias after the show and hit that follow button over on the X and the TikTok, and over on YouTube, hitting that subscribe button. You don't have to pay anything. You just hit subscribe, you're following, and then the next time you come into the live, you wait 5 minutes and you can join the chat. Please make sure you're hitting that follow button on all social medias. All the links are in the Twitch bio. It can take you to the social media that you desire to follow us on. Hopefully that's all of them, and help us build the Huddle Hub Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. All right, guys, so let's get into the news coming out of college football. We got a couple things here to talk about. Number one, James Franklin, the former head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, is signing a deal with Virginia Tech. So James Franklin, who got fired about 4 or 5 weeks ago from Penn State, is no longer out of a job. He is going to sign his deal to become the new head coach out at Virginia Tech. Now, me and John talked about this briefly yesterday when the announcement was made, and John said that he's intrigued to see what James Franklin does out in Virginia Tech, see if he could turn that team around. And you know what? I'm kind of intrigued on it as well. I am. I'm pretty intrigued to see what James Franklin can do out there in Virginia Tech. Maybe he could turn that team around and get them up to the standards that they want to be at as a college football team. So I'm definitely intrigued to see. Terry Smith, the interim head coach out at Penn State. The big question is Terry Smith going to get hired as the full-time head coach out at Penn State? He did a press conference this week, and this is what he had to say, courtesy of CBS Sports.
Terry, you mentioned Penn State specifically. Why does this place in this specific job at the school mean so much?
My dad graduated in '68. It's all we know. I'm from a small town called Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. And it's not a very nice place. And my dad, through his education at Penn State, moved us to the other side of Pittsburgh, to Monroeville, Pennsylvania. And he gave us a better life because of his education here. And it taught our entire family about possibilities in life. And you can be whatever you want to be. And this place has done so much for me and my family. I think we have 9 or 10 family members that have Penn State degrees. I have, I think, 3 that are students now, family members. This place is special. It's amazing. It's I just want to give back to it. I just want to make sure I'm holding my end up of the bargain and putting out a team.
So I'm going to say this right now, being the fan of the Penn State Nittany Lions myself, being a fan of a team, first off, you look at players and coaches, and one of the things you look at is their background. Now, Terry Smith has a huge connection to the Penn State school, the university, has family who goes there. He went there himself. He has a huge connection, being a longtime coach out at Penn State. He becomes the interim head coach when James Franklin gets let go of. Now you sit back and think, is this interim coach going to come in and get this team back on track, get them in a bowl projection, get them in a place where they can make a bowl game and go out and win a bowl game and add that to his resume? But the first thing is that personal connection as a fan you can have to a head coach. Now, the thing is obviously, if you don't know the coach, you're not going to have that face-to-face personal connection. But you listen to the stories and you think, you know what? He has a connection to the school. He has family. He got here himself. He's coached here a long time. He knows the university. That's one thing you look at and think of, would he be a good fit? Then you look at what he produces on the field and with his play calling and what he does, how he connects with the players. And it seems like he has a great connection with the players, and he's making some good play calls. I mean, they almost upset Indiana 2 weeks ago, the number 2 team in the nation. Almost. Pretty close. So you see the improvements. They go out and beat Michigan State this past weekend. Another win under his belt. Get a little closer to the bowl projection. So the question lies is, does Terry Smith become the new head coach out at Penn State? Right now, I say hire him. Bring him in. Give him a 2 or 3 years. See what he could do until at least 2028. And then move on from there. If he's successful, he stays. If he's unsuccessful, make a decision whether he stays or goes. But I think as of right now, Terry Smith, with all the connections he has with the university and the connection he has with the players, take a chance. Hire him. Let me know what you guys think. Does Terry Smith stay or does Terry Smith go? But that's all I got in the news for college football. We're going to get into the conference leaders. But first, give me 30 seconds. I need to open my window because it's super hot in this room. And that's something I forgot to do during the commercial break. So give me 30 seconds here. Hold on. All right. So it is super hot in this room. I'm sitting here sweating like, whew. So, all right, guys, we're going to get into the conference leaders. Okay. Now you're going to see some teams on here that you're probably like, Mike, why are you mentioning this team? Oh, why? What's the point? Well, because they're leading their conference. You know, it kind of matters, you know. So one thing I failed to do, so we're going to look at the okay, so they don't actually have it up right now. Yeah, they do. Okay. So San Diego State. Okay. I want to get the bowl projections for some of these teams who are in bowl projection right now. Which it'll take me 2 seconds to do this. It will not take me long to do this because Jackson State is actually in the same bowl game as them. So, no. I want to properly talk about these projections. And this is something I should have had done before I went live, but I completely forgot to do this, and I should have been more prepared, so I apologize. But we are going to talk about this because these teams deserve to be talked about, especially if they're in a bowl projection. And you guys can definitely check this stuff out for yourself, but I do want to talk about it here. So as we run down the leaders of these conferences. Okay. All right, here we go. So I got the bowl projections for some of these teams. First things first, let's talk about Ohio State. They are in projection. Oh, let me start this. Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about the conference leaders in college football, starting off with Ohio State, who is 10-0 and leads the Big Ten. Looks like right now they're going to be in the Big Ten title game, and they are in projection for the college football playoffs. Texas A&M, who is 10-0, they are in the SEC. They are leading the SEC. They are also in projection for the college football playoffs. Georgia Tech, who leads the ACC at 9-1, are also in projection for the college football playoffs. And Texas Tech, who is in the Big 12, leading the Big 12, who is 10-1, is also in projection for the college football playoff. Notre Dame, who's 8-2, leading the Independent. Now, the Independent is only made up of 2 teams, but Notre Dame is included in this. They are also in projection for the college football playoff. So those are the big teams right now in projection for the college football playoff. The other teams that lead their conferences, starting off with Navy, they lead the American Conference. They are 8-2, and they are in projection to go to the Go Bowling Bowl game. Okay? Jacksonville State, they're in the lead. They are leading Conference USA at 7-3. They're in projection for the IS4S Bowl, along with Michigan State, or Western Michigan, who is 6-4. They are leading the MAC, and they are up for the IS4S Bowl. I want to start this over. Sorry for whoever's live viewing. I want to clip this, so I'm going to start this over. And this is the part about being live by yourself, doing a show, and you want to clip. So I'm going to do this one more time. All right, so we are going to talk about the college football conference leaders, teams that are leading their conferences and what bowls they are projected to go to. First off, Ohio State leading the Big Ten. They are 10-0. They are in projection for the college football playoff. Texas A&M, they are 10-0, leading the SEC in projection for the college football playoff. Georgia Tech leading the ACC. They are 9-1 in projection for the college football playoff. Texas Tech, they are 10-1, leading the Big 12 in projection for the college football playoff. And then Notre Dame, who's in the independent, which is only made up of 2 teams, but Notre Dame is included in this. They are 8-2, and they are in projection for the college football playoff. Let's start off with Oregon State, who is 2-9. Okay, they are 2-9, leading the Pac-12. Now, the Pac-12 is also made up of 2 teams. They lead it because of their 1-0 conference record. They're not in a bowl projection. So anybody who's a fan of Oregon State, I apologize. Your team is not in bowl projection. They're 2-9. But the teams that are in bowl projection from the other conferences, Navy, who's leading the American Conference, they're 8-2. They're in projection for the Go Bowling Bowl. Jacksonville State, they are 7-3, leading Conference USA. Western Michigan, who's 6-4, leading the MAC Conference. Those 2 teams are in the running for the IS4S Bowl. Okay, so looks like they're going to right now play each other in that bowl game. San Diego State, they are in the lead of the Mountain West. They are 8-2, and they are in a projection for the LA Bowl. And then last but not least, James Madison, who is 9-1, and they are in the lead of the Sun Belt Conference. They are in the projection for the J-Lab Bowl. So those are the bowls that these teams who lead their conference are in projection for. So there you go. If you are a fan of any of these teams, those are the bowls that they are in projection for. And we will find out in the next couple weeks who clinches the bowl games. Me and John are going to talk about everything that comes out of Selection Sunday at the end of the season, and talk more about these bowl games on right here on the Tuesday episode of the Huddle Hub podcast. So I kind of stalled there for a second with James Madison because I wrote down SB as their conference, and I was drawing a blank on what conference was SB, and it's the Sun Belt Bowl, the Sun Belt Conference. So, man. All right. So that leaves us with the college football week 13 top 25. Now, as you see below, there's a little bit of a difference. Normally, I have the top 25 matchups down there, but there's only one top 25 matchup as of this moment. At 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when everything is going to update yet again. But right now, the top 25 that we are about to talk about, that is the current top 25. And me and John announced it last week because of the mess that we had with the top 25, that we made the decision, whatever is available to us at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today is what we're going to talk about. And this is the top 25 that was available today at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is the top 25 we're going to talk about here. Okay, so we're going to start off with number 1, Ohio State. Well, let's talk about the biggest plus and minuses from this past week. Okay, Oklahoma, who picked up a win. They are currently 8-2. They moved up 3 spots from number 11 to number 8. Okay, we have number 10 Alabama, who ended up losing this past week. They moved down 6 spots from 4 to 10. They're 8-2. Texas, who had the biggest fall this week, moving down from number 10 to 17 after they lost. And then North Texas, who came out of the unranked, is now ranked at number 22. They moved up 4 spots. So that is what the plus minus is below there. I'm going to keep that up for you guys because we only have one top 25 matchup, and that's Oklahoma against Missouri. So, but let's run it down. Ohio State, number 1, they are 10-0. They stayed at the number 1 spot. They've been number 1 forever. They are taking on Rutgers. I'm going to say this right now. Rutgers, every time I see Rutgers, it always seems like they put up a battle. Now, I'll say this. I know that Rutgers isn't, I want to look at something really quick. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right information. Because Rutgers right now, they're not sitting too well right now. They're 2-5. They're 5. Well, they're 5-5 overall. So, okay, now I can say what I want to say. Number 1, Ohio State. They are taking on Rutgers. Ohio State, or number 1, Ohio State. They are 10-0, staying in the number 1 spot since the beginning of the year. They are taking on Rutgers. I'm going to say this right now. Every time I see Rutgers on my TV or in anything online as far as highlights or anything, they always seem like they're in a ball game. Now, Ohio State, they've been running the table this year. They go out, win every game. Some games they have that are pretty close. I'll say this right now. I think Rutgers, they're going to fight in this game. They're going to try and keep this thing close. They're 5-5 right now overall, so they're at 500. They're in eligibility for a bowl game. I think Ohio State does go out and take care of business, but part of me feels like Rutgers might keep this game close. I'm going to consider the Ohio State clip because I did like that one. All right. Number 2, Indiana. They are 11-0. They stayed at number 2 for a while. They are on the bye week. Number 3, Texas A&M. They're 10-0. They stayed in the number 3 spot. They are taking on Samford. I think Texas A&M just completely takes care of business. That's it. Samford, not Stanford, Samford. Texas A&M got this one, and that's pretty much it. Number 4, Georgia. They moved up 1 spot from number 5 to number 4. They're 9-1 of the year, taking on Charlotte. Like I say every week, I feel like Georgia is one of those teams this year that they're in the spotlight of the media, but it's not as heavy as it used to be. This week, they should take care of business against Charlotte. They should pick up another win. My gosh. Number 4, Georgia. They moved up 1 spot from number 5 to number 4. They're 9-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on Charlotte. Like I've been saying, Georgia, they've been in the media spotlight, but it's not as heavy as it usually is. Now, Georgia, I think after moving up this 1 spot from 5 to 4, they have a small opportunity to move up to the number 3 spot, pending on what the committee decides to do. Because Indiana being on the bye week, Georgia goes out and wins, Texas A&M goes out and wins. Those 2 teams move up. Indiana can end up moving down. It's a possibility. Could Georgia move up to number 3? Maybe. Could they move up to number 2? I think it all depends if Texas A&M wins or not, and Texas A&M seems like they'll take care of business. So Georgia should go out and take care of business against Charlotte and move up, possibly move up to number 3, all pending on how the voting goes for the movement of the rankings. Number 5, Ole Miss. They moved up 1 spot from 6 to 5. They're 10-1 on the year on the bye week. Number 6, Oregon. They are tied for the 6th ranking with Texas Tech. Oregon is, they moved up 1 spot from 7 to 6. They're 9-1 on the year. They're going to be taking on number 16, USC. USC, they are 8-2 on the year. They moved up 1 spot from 17 to 16. Like I've been saying the past couple weeks, Oregon is a very young offensive team, but they go out and take care of the business they need to take care of. USC, they're 8-2. You see them moving up and down the board as of late in the rankings. Oregon's kind of in the same spot. They moved up from 7 to 6, but they're tied with Texas Tech. I think Oregon going out and beating USC takes over that lone spot of number 6 and putting Texas Tech at number 7. I'm going with Oregon against USC. We're going to go with the Oregon matchup. I like that one. Oregon at 106. Okay. Like I said, Texas Tech, they moved up 2 spots from number 9 to 7. They're 10-1 on the year. They're on the bye week. Number 8, Oklahoma. They are 8-2 on the year. They moved up 3 spots from 11 to 8. They take on number 23, Missouri. Missouri moved up 3 spots from unranked to 23. They are 7-3 on the year. Oklahoma, I think, is going to go out and win this ball game. Missouri, they've been in and out of the top 25 all year. Oklahoma's been pretty consistent of staying above the number 15 ranking ever since the past, in the last 3 weeks. Oklahoma's trying to stay afloat into the college football playoffs. It looks like right now they have that 1 foot in. Beating Missouri is going to guarantee them keeping that 1 foot in. So I think Oklahoma goes out and takes care of business against Missouri. I like the Oklahoma one. I do, kind of. I'll think about it in editing. I will. Again, this is the rough thing about running alone is because I'm taking notes as I'm going here for clipping for social medias. So I apologize for the pausing. Number 9, Notre Dame. They are 8-2. They stuck around in the 9 spot. They are going to be taking on Syracuse. Notre Dame, they're in the independent conference. They don't have any competition. Their sure competition, their sole one. Number 9, Notre Dame. They stuck around in the 9 spot. They are 8-2 on the year. They are taking on Syracuse. Now, Notre Dame, who's in the independent, they don't have any interconference competition. They solely have to rely on the competition that they face throughout the year against teams from other conferences. I think Notre Dame, what they need to do is think about getting into a conference so that they have more of a guarantee that if they are having a good year like they're having this year after the 0-2 start, of getting into the college football playoff. Last year, we see Notre Dame take care of their business. They make it to the national title game. They lose to Ohio State. It seems like Notre Dame, they have to fight for that position. Now, if they get into a conference to where they can have more of a guarantee, I think it would be more beneficial for them. So, but I got Notre Dame taking care of Syracuse. I do like the Notre Dame one. I do. Guys, after the show, I'm probably going to be recording my week 12 picks for the NFL. That video will be posted on Thursday morning. I'm not going to post it tomorrow. Number 10, Alabama, they moved down 6 spots from number 4 to number 10. They're 8-2 on the year, suffering the loss last week. They take on Eastern Illinois this week. I think Alabama just simply goes out, gets back on track, take care of business. Oh my gosh. Number 10, Alabama, they are 8-2 on the year. They moved down 6 spots from number 4 to number 10. They picked up the loss last week, but I think they pick it. Number 10, Alabama, they're 8-2 on the year. They moved down 6 spots from number 4 to number 10 after suffering a loss last week. I think Alabama gets back on track this week. They face Eastern Illinois. Should be an easy win for Alabama. Get back on track, get back to their winning ways, and possibly get back in to the top 10. And what I mean by that is like they're in the top 10, but they're on the inside, but they want to move up. So I'll see about that one. Number 11, BYU, they're 9-1. They moved up 1 spot from number 12 to number 11. They take on Cincinnati this week. Now, the games that I see that Cincinnati plays on TV, another team that seems to put up a fight every time I see them. BYU, on the other hand, they just keep moving up the rankings as well. You know, one week you see them in the 20s. The next week you see them in the top 15. And now they're creeping from the outside looking in of the top 10. I think BYU takes care of business this week, beats Cincinnati, and takes the opportunity to possibly move inside that top 10. I don't like that one. Number 12, Vanderbilt. They are 8-2 on the year. They moved up 1 spot from 13 to 12. They take on Kentucky. Vanderbilt is a team that we've talked about so much this year here on the Huddle Hub podcast. They pretty much became the team under our spotlight. Why? Because of the progression this team has made. You start the season, they're in the 20s, and they just kept climbing to the point where they were inside the top 10. They end up failing one game, losing a game. They fall down, but now they're picking themselves up and trying to get themselves back in the position to possibly sneak in to the playoffs. I think Vanderbilt goes out, takes care of Kentucky, and continues their winning ways. All right. I like the Vanderbilt one. And we've been talking about Vanderbilt very much this year. Vanderbilt has been a team that we've been very focused on. So what's up, Tommy? How's it going, bud? Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you. Riding solo tonight. We're running down the top 25 of the college football top 25. That's what we're doing, and I'm going to close things out here. That's it. Had a great hour show today. I mean, about an hour and 12 minutes in, but a lot of good content to cut from tonight. So great seeing you here. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. All right, number 13, Utah. They moved up 2 spots from number 15 to 13. They're 8-2 on the year, taking on Kansas State. Utah's been one of those teams that they've had up and downs throughout the year. You know, you see them in the top of the top 25, then they fall to the bottom, just like other teams have been doing. Utah, they have that stability of staying inside the top 15 as of late, and I think they're going to continue doing so by going out and beating Kansas State. Oh, yeah, I haven't seen the updated list yet. I mean, the updated list, you can go see it now, Tommy, but in about 15 minutes, they're going to update it again. It's going to get updated again in 15 minutes because the playoff projections get projected through on at 8:30 tonight. So I'd wait 15 minutes. That way you don't have to go back and look. So wait until 8:30. That's what I would do. I'm just running down what I got now in front of me because we start at 7 o'clock. So I gotta have something together, you know. Number 14, Miami. They are 8-2. They moved up 2 spots from 16 to 14. They are taking on Virginia Tech. Now, as it was announced yesterday that James Franklin is going to be taking over the head coaching duties in 2026 out of Virginia Tech. Miami, they lost 2 games. They fell pretty hard in the top 25. They're slowly trying to climb back in there, trying to creep their way back into the playoff hunt. I think Miami's going to go out, take care of business against Virginia Tech, and take one step closer to possibly sneaking back into the playoffs. I like that Miami one. I do. We're going to clip that. That one's getting clipped. I love that Miami one. This is the hard part about running alone, and you know this, Tommy. You've seen me run the show alone a couple times, and you're welcome. I mean, I got to take notes as I'm going for clipping for social media. So it's like I talk about a team, pause, note, talk to myself for a minute. Next team, pause, note, talk to myself. That's why it's an hour and 15 minutes in. Normally we're done by now. You know, but John's feeling a little under the weather tonight. So he took the night off, which it's cool. I'm cool with that. John knows that. So it's just a little harder running by myself, you know, off topic. But do you think Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss? I don't know. With the success Ole Miss is having, maybe not. I don't know. Because Ole Miss is having a lot of success right now. So I think the right offer would have to come to him from the NFL to maybe go. But other than that, I don't think he's going to want to go take over the Browns or the Giants or the Titans or any team that's kind of shit in the bed right now. I think he's going to want to go and compete. So I would have to say a team that has potential, maybe like the Cardinals. If the Cardinals decide to say, you know, goodbye to Gannon after the year, because there is talks about it. A lot of rumors talking about Gannon being gone. If the Cardinals job becomes available, maybe. If he goes to Florida, I mean, that'd be a good fit for him. Bringing the Florida Gators back into contention. I mean, because everybody thought Florida was going to take that position this year, and they quickly fell on their face. So, you know, the Florida job would be good for him, but I think NFL-wise, I think he wants to go to a team that competes. I do. I think that's going to be his main objective, is going to a competing team. And the closest thing to that would be the Arizona job, is if Gannon gets let go of at the end of the year. So that's my perspective on it. That's just my perspective. Other than that, I wouldn't. If I was him, I wouldn't leave Ole Miss. Not with how competitive they are right now. No way. No way. All right. Let me finish this off. I think I got my clips that I really want, so I'm just going to run this down. Georgia Tech, they're number 15. They moved down one spot from 14 to 15. They're taking on Pittsburgh this week. Number 16, USC, they moved up one spot from 17 to 16. They're 8-2. They take on Oregon. We talked about that game already. Number 17, Texas, they moved down 10 spots from 10 to 17. They're 7-3 on the year, taking on Arkansas. Number 18, Michigan, they stayed at 18. They're 8-2 on the year, taking on Maryland. Number 19, Virginia, they moved up one spot from 20 to 19. They're 9-2 on the year. They're on the bye week. Let's talk about this one. Number 20, Tennessee, they are 7-3 on the year. They moved up one spot from 21 to 20. They take on Florida this week. Florida, they're a team that everybody thought was going to do something this year, but very quickly fell on their face. Now, they have a couple wins this year. Tennessee, they've been up and down. This should be a really good ball game, but I think Tennessee, at the end of the day, is going to pick up the win. Okay, I'm clipping that one. That one I am doing. 118, because I got to get off air. We're scheduled to be off air in about like 5 minutes. James Madison, they're number 21. They moved up 3 spots from 24 to 21. They're 9-1 on the year, taking on Washington State. North Texas, they moved into the rankings this week at number 22. They moved up. They're 9-1 on the year, taking on Rice. We already talked about Missouri, who's number 23, taking on Oklahoma. Number 24, Tulane, they moved into the rankings this week at 8-2. They're taking on Temple. And number 25, Houston, moved into the rankings this week. They are 8-2 on the year, taking on TCU. So that is the top 25. Currently, the update happens in about 15 minutes, the new update. But again, I had to roll with the notes that I have for this week. So, but that's all I got. So we're gonna get out of here. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. And real quick, one more time, guys. Please make sure you head over to the Huddle Up Podcast social medias over on X and TikTok. Make sure you hit that follow button over on the YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're on the Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. All the links to all the links to our social medias are in the bio on the Twitch. So you click on the respected or the respected the social media that you desire. Hopefully it's all of them. Go hit the follow button. Help us build the Huddle Up Podcast going through the 2025 season and beyond. It would definitely be appreciated as we are growing. I mean, this brand is growing, man. Slowly but surely, it's happening, and we appreciate everybody who is supporting us. Moving on here, as it sits right now, who is the non-Power 5 school in? The non-Power 5 school that is in the playoffs as we speak is South Florida. They're in the projection right now, but in 15 minutes they're going to be out. I think the one that's going to be in will, or no. Who did I say? South Florida. It's going to be North Texas. North Texas is going to be the non-Power 5 that gets in. They're going to be the one that gets projected in. I can almost guarantee it. North Texas. It's been between South Florida and North Texas the past 2 weeks. So, but if you want to follow me over on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat, MetalMike714 is where you can find me. If you want to find John over on TikTok and Twitch and YouTube at the Candyman JH, and Cam is over on social media as well. There are his social medias on the bottom. If you want to catch his social medias, just pause and catch them. Make sure you're going and following all of us individually over on social media. John doing some great work with our college football dynasty. We are in year number 7 right now in our college football 26 dynasty. It's been so much fun doing this dynasty, and we go live. We do special lives for you guys here on the Twitch channel and the YouTube channel when we do our off-season stuff, when we're in the playoffs. So keep your eye out for that stuff as well as we do special lives for that. But John's doing great work with the editing of all of our video game stuff. And Cam will be joining me on Sunday morning. So our next show will be Sunday morning at 10:30. Cam's joining me at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday. Every Sunday, Cam is with me, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we get you guys ready for Week 12 of the NFL, and we recap everything that happened in Week 13 of college football this week. So come join me and Cam on the Sunday show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you could join me for a special TikTok live at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a pre-show live. I do pre-show lives a half hour before we go live every Tuesday and every Sunday. So come join me there, and then come join us for the shows on Sunday and on Tuesday. With that being said, Tommy, thank you for coming in tonight, checking out the Huddle Up Podcast. Everybody who swung by, whether you swiped up, swiped down, joined us for a minute or two, make sure you're following us on social media, and we'll see you guys on the next one. You're welcome, Tommy. No problem, man. Be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world isn't moving as fast as you think. Until Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, me and Cam, we'll see y'all guys next time. See you. Deuces.